Hello, it's episode 501.
501st.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even plan that.
I thought that was the point. I thought this was literally the plan.
Oh, I thought we were doing that intentionally too.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a subconscious thing. What a massive, cool coincidence. We're gonna make good.
I mean, what a planned out, thoughtful thing that we did as master planners and people who think ahead.
Today is where we make good on the new style of homework on this podcast, where maybe when we say we're gonna do something, we just do it right away. Pretty much right away.
Sure. What do we got?
Yeah. Well, first we're gonna catch up just for a sec because I've just returned from a sojourn into the woods. Actually, twice since we spoke last. 2 sojourns into the woods. And managed to play in a MtG Prerelease, JJ.
Okay.
I had a good time.
This
it's
was
really cool.
Marvel superheroes.
Marvel superheroes. I think when you're immersed in a pre-release and all the cards are Marvel, there's no big deal. So that's my takeaway. I don't know what it's going to do for standard or whatever. But the environment was actually kind of fun. Where it was like a lot of legendaries was not that big a deal.
The draft, I've done a couple of the drafts on Arena, and let me tell you, I feel like some sets it's like I want all the spells I can get, and some sets it's like give me all the creatures. This is a give me all the creatures set.
Oh,
I want it. I ain't picking a dang spell, dog. Like does it have a mana cost and a stat block? I'm picking it.
Yeah. Well, if you play in black or blue, maybe you want counterspell or removal. But other than that, it's just like find removal on the cards because otherwise, whatever.
Yeah, like even the like typical green fight spells or whatever kind of blow, and it's just like I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not picking this over another 4/4 for 2 or whatever nonsense stats they have these days.
Undercover
like a 4/4 for 2.
Undercover Scroll, maybe the MVP of drafts so far.
Is that the guy that taps for mana?
Yeah, and it gets stronger as you fill your graveyard.
Yeah, dude, that dude is so busted.
Yeah.
So busted.
Well, I wasn't the only one sojourning. JJ, you got out of town as well.
Yeah,
Way
sure
out of
did.
Town.
We went and saw a bunch of baseball games in the East Coast.
Is that the purpose of the trip?
Yeah, mostly, more or less. I mean, we got to see my sister, which is also good. But theoretically, we were going because we wanted to go see baseball games. We went to Yankee Stadium, Citi Field of the Mets, and Fenway Park of the Boston Red Sox. And if you need my ranking of those 3 stadiums, it is Fenway, large golf, Citi Field, medium-sized golf, Yankee Stadium.
I like it.
While I would agree with that without even going there, because one's in Boston and the other 2 are near New York. Shots fired.
I have had a great time all the times we've been in New York, and most of the places we've been have been good. So I don't really have an issue with New York as a place. But Yankee Stadium is just boring, man. It's like not good.
Because they took down the cool one and they built a new modern one.
Yeah. So I can't speak to whether the quote old Yankee Stadium was good. Never went there. This is the like concrete one they have now, and it kind of blows.
Yeah, that's the only one that I've been to as well. So
I never got a chance to go to the old one. I did go to the parking lot and see the old home plate, but that's it.
Yeah, we did not do that. Met Stadium we liked more. Not as good as Petco Park out here. But still pretty like a totally perfectly fine time. The people at the Mets game were really awesome. The long-suffering Mets fans, and Fenway Park is just unmatched, dude. I don't know how anyone cannot go there and have like one of the best times you could possibly have.
my big question is, did you enjoy Boston so much because of all the World Cup fever that had overtaken the state?
Were the Scots still there?
No, the Scots were not still there. But evidence of their passing was available. Apparently, there's some sort of like Scottish deal with like putting traffic cones on the heads of statues.
Okay.
This is some kind of thing that they do. Many of these statues that we went and walked around by, in parks and in monument areas or whatever, still had the cones there. Not sure how they're going to get them down. Some of these are like 30 feet tall.
Fire
Not
truck.
clear how the cone got up there. Yeah, but so that was still there. In one instance, we saw someone had placed a Viking hat on top of like a statue of Paul Revere or something.
All right.
Which fit really good in his little tricorner. Kind of just sat right perfectly there. And the Norway and France teams were in town, since that was the big game that was coming up.
Yeah. Well, since we're on it, this is my most enjoyment from a World Cup, I think, in recent memory. There's a lot of cool stuff happening, and the U.S. is performing well. You guys feeling the World Cup this year?
Oh yeah, I've been watching like as many games as I can.
There has been some stellar soccer so far.
Yeah, really good matches. Even in the group stage, stuff was good. But like every knockout game has been awesome so far.
Yeah. I think whether they just got fortunate on the timing or if parity has reached that point in the international soccer community, but I think that there's been nothing lost by expanding the tournament, and the only result has been more good games.
Yeah. Nice.
I think it did make the group stage a little less, fraught. I feel like in previous World Cups, the group stage was really like, oh my God, like, can this team get an extra goal to get out of their group because the competition is so fierce?
Is that why? Because like in the past, we'd always look at our U.S. group and be like, there's no chance we're ever making it out of the group stage. And nowadays it's like, this tournament was like, oh, we're probably okay.
Some of that is the quality of U.S. soccer has ticked up a notch or two since previous World Cups.
Yeah, Michael is 100% right there. But also, they expanded the field this year. It used to only be 32, and this is the first year they went to 48. So there are more groups now, and more teams get out of the group, right? All first and second places get out. Some third places get out.
Right.
And
it's top 2 from all 12 groups, and then
yes,
what is that, 8 more to round out to 32 teams for the knockout stage?
Correct. So, getting eliminated in the group stage is less perilous, I guess, than it was in the past when only 16 teams got out. But similarly, there's a lot more teams involved, and so the games. But also, that leads to a lot more chances for upsets, where teams like Paraguay will take down Germany, or teams like Morocco beat the out of the Netherlands, which is really cool.
Yeah, that was fun to watch those crazy penalty kicks. I don't remember seeing tons of penalty kicks in a day, much less a whole tournament.
Yeah, because earlier in the tournament, right, they have to play more games to just like get on with it,
Yeah.
So the chance that multiple of them go to penalties is even higher. So yeah, it's been cool.
All right. Since we're talking about the cream of the crop when it comes to soccer, let's talk about the literal cream in the Michelin Guide, the top food world situation. JJ, you've been a recent Michelin attendee.
Yeah, we actually went to the first Michelin-starred restaurant in Boston. It ruled. That place was awesome. Maybe some of the best sushi I've ever had.
Very nice.
I don't know if you
omakase.
Yeah, omakase. That place could get a 2nd star, honestly. Like, they were really, really good.
Maybe they'll work towards it, I guess.
Yeah, it's one of those I think you gotta like maintain,
Mm-hmm. there's a huge question mark in the world of the Michelin star, and it involves kitchen supplies.
Yeah, you flagged this, and I was like, "What is he talking about?"
I don't know if you
see,
know
and
what this is. Do you know what Sysco is?
Oh yeah, of course.
I
Okay.
know their trucks.
Yeah. So you used to see other trucks that might bring restaurants their supplies for their kitchens, or you know, uh, a large conglomeration of things. No joke, no pun intended. Uh, for restaurants come through Cisco, but there used to be competitors. Food Services Inc., I think, or something like that, is one of the most recent ones to have been felled and folded into the umbrella of Cisco, who now hold what I think amounts to literally a monopoly on this part of the food service industry. Um, with no chance of it ever being, currently challenged. We're not big fans of monopolies on this podcast.
No, we're
Talked
not.
about them.
Nope.
Talked about them in the digital sense, but we're going to talk about them in the your experience at a restaurant could change sense. The Michelin
think-
Guide and Cisco are partnering up.
Yeah, and I think like already, Cisco, just their prevalence in general,
Mm-hmm.
already you see, even if you don't know about it, you feel it when you go to restaurants and they're like, they have like the same stuff everywhere, you know? Every place serves French fries and all of them look pretty much the same.
Right.
Like, oh, everywhere has ketchup. It all tastes exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're all getting it from the same place, no one is making their own ketchup anymore.
Yeah. So imagine imagine the Michelin starred restaurant that made their ketchup in house that morning, not getting it supplied by Cisco, and then all of a sudden losing their star.
Yeah, and like, there's definitely a heavy streak in a lot of the Michelin star places, that I've been to, that, they talk about like, hey, we work with this one farm. They sell all their crops to us. Like it is
Mm-hmm.
straight up that farm to this table, nothing else, right?
Yeah.
Like, and kind of wild that a company known for like,
Garbage fast food.
food slop, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
would try to insert itself into that space. That's like, why would Michelin want to be associated with them?
Yeah. Apparently, this isn't the first time they've tried to partner up with them. They did some sort of Texas chef guide with Michelin in 2024. And then possibly another one to celebrate some Carolina restaurants in 2025. But this one seems far more expansive, and it's a huge question mark as to the power that a monopoly has to then put out of business restaurants that probably have very low margins in terms of their success. I think this is the Yelp scandal, possibly on steroids.
Yeah, and like people, if people have been to Michelin star restaurants before or are considering going, you look at the prices and you're like, these are so expensive. How can they have low margins? They serve like a third the number of people as other restaurants, right? That's why.
Yep.
Let me tell you about the amount of black truffle that went onto my macaroni.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. They use higher quality ingredients. They use more staff almost universally, like a lot more people involved. And it all leads to a much better experience. Like I'll say, far and away, every time I've had a great dining experience, every single one of these restaurants has delivered. But
Yeah, but now we're gonna have a second tier of Joe Bob's excellent Texan burgers, where it's just whatever Cisco's best sellers are at a restaurant.
I mean, it's already like that, right? Like every
Yeah.
restaurant has a chicken sandwich on the menu. Every restaurant has, the ketchup that tastes the same as every other ketchup. Every restaurant serves French fries that are cut and shaped exactly the same.
But now they'll be in the Michelin book.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
It's a
But
big
yeah,
question. Yeah. Watch out for things like this, guys. That's your food horror minute. You know, I don't know if we can make a ruling on it in food court, but maybe we will soon.
I feel like the jury's maybe still out
Yeah.
to see if there's any fallout from this one.
Speaking of fallout, I think the fallout from the purchase of Paramount by the Ellisons is that this amazing new Blu-ray that just came out, JJ, is a must-buy for fans of Star Trek.
which one now? What?
There's a 60th anniversary Blu-ray of Star Trek, the original series, with all the upgraded visuals, all 79 episodes, including extras and some sort of vinyl in a special box, etc. Available for some reason exclusively through Amazon, another monopoly.
Not quite a monopoly, but they're sure working hard to get it there.
They're getting there. They're getting real dang close, and it depends on the market you're talking about because cloud services.
Not a monopoly, but they're sure working hard to get there.
I just was wondering if you had seen this yet.
No, I haven't. You gotta send a brother a link. You know, I kind of want to.
Yeah. Which chat do I send it to? That's the question.
I don't know. You know where I'm at. Put it on the internet. You know.
Yeah. I think that given what's going to probably start happening over at Paramount, that this is the exact maybe type of thing that we should look into starting to purchase more and more, because it doesn't look likely to me that they're going to treat Star Wars very well over there.
Star Trek. You meant.
My brain is on the next topic.
You're getting ahead. You're getting ahead.
But I thought you were going to say like the thing we need to be purchasing is physical media. Well, that's what you're talking about, right?
110%. 110%.
Very quick aside. Any thoughts on the GTA 6 no physical media edition at all?
Yeah, what's that about? Tell people what that's about.
No, you want to buy GTA 6, which isn't coming out on PC yet. No physical copies. Your boxes that you buy will have codes in them. No discs.
That feels bad to me.
Also, it's $80.
Yeah. In the era that we grew up in.
But the box coming with nothing in it and just a code, like what is the point of that?
I mean, it comes with the code, so.
Yeah. That's true, I guess. But like why would you just buy a box?
Well, certainly they don't want you to. They want you to just buy it digitally. But, you know, they know some people will just walk into Target or whatever and buy a box, even though there's nothing in the box.
They want something for the shelf.
I get wanting the thing for the shelf. I'm kind of an understander of that, even though.
Sure, same.
But if it physically doesn't have a thing on it.
Yeah.
There sure seems like no point to me.
Yeah, well, and we've started this problem with the Nintendo last year where it was like, well, only half of it's on there. Like, can you play it without the other half? No. You have to download
game key cards are this, right? You know?
Yeah. Ugh. Yuck. Yuck. Also, just in general, GTA 6 marketing. Yuck.
I have had literally no interest in playing this game. Not that, you know, look, not like I played GTA 5 or 4, so, you know, you weren't hitting me here either.
Right, exactly.
I realized that I had not played GTA 5 during all this run up to GTA 6.
Yeah.
Is that weird? Like, I played GTA 1, 2, 3, Vice City, like crazy.
Yeah, I played a bunch of GTA 3 and San Andreas and Vice City.
Oh, San Andreas. Yeah, that's right.
And then I never played 4 or 5, and I don't feel that I missed anything at all.
Okay. Yeah, I guess maybe just because nothing ever changed, right?
I mean, those games are those games. I guess I didn't get to experience the stories of them such as they were, or the online component, which I have less than zero interest in.
Mm-hmm.
And, meh, like, I don't know. I would rather watch a movie about crime syndicates and or robberies or whatever than play it.
Participate in crime syndicates and robberies.
No, I'm okay with participating. I just don't like the GTA ones.
I was going to call you out on your experiences in the Yakuza.
Yeah, look, I'm just saying, I'm not against doing crimes in video games. I'm just not interested in the stories that GTA is telling.
In the game, we got to be clear. In the game,
Yeah, in the games.
Yeah.
Very funny. Well, we derailed a little bit from talking about Star Trek, so the transition to Star Wars is a little bit harder. But we need to follow up on our joint discussion and preparations and homework, right? Homework is now a thing on this podcast all of a sudden. I.e., people will show up to an episode expecting to hear about some stuff, I think is the new way going forward a little bit.
Got to give the
Which is
people what
great.
they want.
Last time we talked about, I am getting prepared to show the Chillins Star Wars correctly mentioned this time. Sorry about the slip up with Trek. The films. We're limiting it to the films. I know there's value in the Clone Wars. I know there's value in a lot of episodes of other side spin-off things, but I'm not going to overwhelm them. The movies should be able to stand on their own. That's how they're made.
Right.
Well, and that's what there was to start with anyway, right?
For a long time. Yeah.
In general, there are two largely accepted ways to view these things. One is in release order, and one is in chronological order in the universe timeline order, right?
Yeah, they're typically referred to as release in chronological order.
Right.
Correct. George Lucas has said that he thinks you should watch them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. Dave Filoni
He
echoed
would say
that.
that, by the way.
Dave Filoni
that's true.
echoed that in an interview. He said, that's the creator. That's what the creator said that he would prefer. That's what you should do.
It feels like a non-answer, but
well, the man is loyal.
Sure, yeah.
The mouse is sitting right there. He can't, act out of line.
He's towing the party line.
I don't know that it's about that. I think he has a very deep relationship with George Lucas. Very, very deep. And he probably sees it a similar way at this point. There are problems with both directions of this, but I wanted to experience your thoughts, knowing that we've all deeply thought about these films in the past and having ranked them and re-ranked them and all that sort of stuff. And we can talk about some alternative ideas as well.
And I think there are two other topics we should get to before we get to the end of this discussion. There's a third way we'll talk about probably in this discussion at some point.
I sent it to you.
And then I think there should be a discussion about what about the 4K despecialized versions like 4K 77, 4K 80, and 4K 83.
Well, there's also de-specialized versions of the original films as well, I have found out.
Okay, I don't know what those are like, but I know the 4K ones, those three ones that I mentioned, those are basically theatrical release versions of those movies, which, are hard to find now. And we should talk about that before we get to the end. But I think the main argument here is between chronological and release. I
think we got to start there because arguing for the 4K reduxes, unreduxes, is a principle thing versus I might have to settle for getting it done thing.
Well, and having seen at least 4K 77, I don't think you can show that to someone as their first Star Wars.
Oh, why is that?
I don't think the quality is even enough.
Oh.
4K 77 in specific has issues with they couldn't find an entire print to, transfer and re-encode or whatever.
Sure.
And so they pieced it together over years from scraps that they could find, and the quality of the film is uneven.
Okay.
Okay,
And
we'll get back to
they
that.
admit this. You can go back to their thing and look at them. They detail, where they got all their stuff, and it's very detailed. Anyway, we'll talk about that later, but I think we should consider the widely available versions of the movies before we talk about those ones.
The streaming versions of the films are likely to be what is discussed here, though I might have some connection to getting old media versions of them as well. Personal, people that I know that have older media versions.
Sure. But I think, unless we talk otherwise, we're talking about the ones that are on, the streaming.
Okay. Pros and cons for each order, or each person makes their argument.
I don't know. I can see it both ways. Do you have strong opinions either way, Michael?
I don't know if I have a strong opinion. I probably do have a preference for release order.
Okay, so let's argue from here at this point. So 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9.
Yes.
That would be release order for the
That would be
movies.
release order for the movies.
Okay. You feel strongly, or not strongly, but you feel a preference for this direction because of the story, the plotting, the advances in technology. What
I think
gets you on this
some
one?
of it is the advances in technology, right? You get to see where they started, and then you get to see the ways in which they can more fully realize some of the visions with how technology has progressed in filmmaking. But I think some of it is also kind of experiential, right? Like if I were introducing this to someone, I would tend to want to frame it in the same way that I experienced it, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that might get to my one of my, what I was going to say, reminders here is that my preference of what I would watch versus what I need to show someone else that has not experienced it before. And so you've putting up that point of like, this is the way I saw it versus just this is the way I prefer it is important, because it's going to be showed to the kids. So, maybe the way I prefer it isn't the way they see it, but the way I saw it versus maybe the way it's intended to be ordered.
So I think my argument for release order would be that, this is how the series was concepted, right? And like expanded on, in reality, right? They made this first movie. It was a wild success. They made additional movies. Those were wild successes. They expanded and made further ones, and you can see that expansion as you go on. I think the question is like, are you only talking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or are you going to include Rogue One? Are you going to include Solo? These other Mandalorian, I guess. Now.
No, I don't think I'm going to chase a lot of this stuff. I could see chasing Solo, and I could see chasing Rogue One into these, but expanding out and out and out and out is a fool's errand.
Sure, I'm talking only feature films here, and only feature films includes those 3 extra movies, right?
Sure. Grogu and The Mandalorian don't make sense currently, but I think
their placement would be weird regardless of where you put them. So
I think Rogue One is a valuable film, but it also suffers from a magnetic shift in tone to the original films.
The placement of Rogue One in release order is after 7, which is
That's a problem.
gonna be weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's the problems that come with the chronological order, right? You lose the surprise in
Yep.
episode 5.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, big time.
And you go through large shifts of characters, and it changes the saga one direction or another about who it's about, what it's about, etc.
Yeah. You also lose references that presuppose knowledge, right? Like
Do you
when
have
you
one off the
watch,
top of your head?
I don't know if I have a particular instance, but Solo comes to mind, right? There are things about Solo that the Kessel Run, right? It kind of presupposes that you understand why they are specifically talking about that in that movie, right? Because it's his bragging point about his ship in the original trilogy.
I mean, you get to see it before he starts bragging about it. That's not a
Sure.
bad thing.
Yeah. But
It-
that's just kind of one example of the idea.
I
think
think Michael
what-
has some merit to his point, though. There are definitely things that get shown a lot in like the prequel trilogy, right? Like in 1, 2, and
Mhm.
3, that sort of imply you already know some stuff about Star Wars, quote unquote, as it is. The
Mhm.
opening crawl of episode 1, like, you know, talks a lot about taxation and stuff, but it doesn't like, tell you like lightsabers are cool. They kind of already expect you know.
Yeah. I think one an addendum to Michael's point, it's not a counterpoint, but it is different, is that Star Wars itself, 4, 5, 6, trade in a mystique of characters, and maybe why episode 6 gets a little bit away from people in terms of their like or dislike. A lot of these people talk about things like you're supposed to know them about them,
And
and
you just have no idea what it is.
you're in a world where you just say, oh, okay, he did the Kessel Run, and this character talks about a more civilized age with without blasters and all that sort of stuff, and you're supposed to imagine what the characters have talking about and have been through.
Yeah, it's a lot of tell, not show, right? And
Yeah.
that is good for evocative stuff where, like, Obi-Wan talking about a more civilized age, this elegant weapon, and the prequels are meant to show more than tell, mostly, I would say. And that's just like a different style of filmmaking. And not that it's like can't be done good one way or the other.
Mhm.
Merits of those movies, in my opinion's on them aside, but you might have trouble showing someone who's used to these ones the other ones,
One question I did have about the chronological order toward both of you, though, is keeping in mind that it's kids. Does an Anakin beginning, Anakin growing, and then a older Luke and older story towards the end, of more adult story towards the end, help them grow with the story in that direction? And might be why George suggests it that way.
I never thought about it like that. I could see, I think Lucas would tell you that in his mind, the story of those first 6 movies is the story of Anakin Skywalker and his, rise and fall and eventual redemption, right?
It seems that's the intention after the first 3 films.
I think that's what Lucas would say. Obviously, I don't think a lot of people conceive of it that way. If you come in from the outside, the first three movies are the story, or the original three movies are the story of Luke Skywalker. The first three movies are the story of Anakin Skywalker, and the third three movies are the story of Rey. And you know, whether he wanted it to be that way or not, I don't know that it works that way. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, either.
not having had children, I don't know how they would react to like the main character, quote unquote, going evil.
Yeah.
You know, some kids might have issues with that, I suppose. I feel the stories in the original trilogy are pretty timeless, though. I don't know that it would be hard to empathize with Luke, or Leia, or them just because they're older and not necessarily children.
Yeah, I don't necessarily either. I feel. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't remember it being a problem for us when we were first introduced to it.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I mean, before I was a teenager, even I was watching these movies and I loved them. So,
right, yeah,
100%. I don't think it's a problem either way. I wonder about the easing in to the timeline that direction, but it also, kind of brings us naturally to the third order there, Michael, or JJ and Michael. I think I sent it to both of you.
To Machete.
Right. For folks not aware, this is the viewing order that sort of, I don't know who is the person that conceptualized this. You know,
Robin. What was it? Rod Hilton, who is, I think, a blogger about like film in general.
And so the idea of this order is it attempts to immerse you in the world and preserve sort of the twists and turns of the story, such as it was. And the order is...
The general idea, though, is also to keep it a cohesive story about Luke or Luke's family. Not to lose it in this block is about this person, this block is about this person, but to take the first 6 and say, it's one story, but you gotta like rearrange it in order for it to feel that way, maybe. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and so the order here for the Machete is 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. Am I right there?
Correct.
Yes.
Deleting 1 altogether.
Yeah.
And given our discussions about 1, I'm not surprised that some people might come to that conclusion.
And the arguments Rod makes in his blog are pretty persuasive in that a lot of the stuff that people really dislike about the lore, quote unquote, and the mythos of Star Wars that comes out of 1, if you just don't do it, you never get exposed to it, and then it's like not a problem, right? You just ignore that it happened. They don't mention it later, and everything is fine.
I have in general an aversion to just ignoring stuff that are a part of Star Wars, and the pod racing is cool for kids, and then they get to say, now that's pod racing.
We all saw those movies growing up, and it didn't ruin us either.
No,
right?
It didn't. And that's, given the childishness of it, it is an interesting introduction point to a series that becomes much more serious in the 3 and 6 block, which is what Machete Order sticks together at the end.
Right.
Because tonally, if you watch in order 1, 2, 3, it kind of goes light, medium, well, like rare, medium, well. And then it goes back to like rare, medium, end well again. With if you throw Rogue One in there, you're really screwing things up. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I think, on the topic of like, chronological versus release versus this other order, I I think it's tough to argue for chronological only because you're going to end up with such wild shifts in film technology and movie making and, you know, stuff that's like outside of even the movies themselves, right? Like dialogue and, cutting and just all sorts of stuff that just has nothing to do with Star Wars or even the content of those movies, that I think it would be tough to watch.
You think it would take you out of it more than the rearrangement of the order would keep you in a tighter story?
Now, so this is me, right? It would take
Sure.
me out
Yeah,
of
I'm
it.
asking you that question.
I don't know what children will think. It's possible they feel it worse, right? They start at a certain kind of movie, and then when it changes drastically after 3 movies, they're like, what the heck? Or the reverse is possible, where they're just like, yeah, whatever, different movie, different thing. Sure.
Mhm.
I don't know. That's as a non-parent, I can't parent for you kind of thing.
No, I know. It's a fascinating way, and I want to make this decision so that I know, we can get through it this summer and they can finally watch it and all that sort of stuff. They're ready for it. I don't think even the dark tones of 3 and 6, um, I don't think we'll make it through 7, 8, 9 this summer. Dang. Darn. Oh well.
Shucks.
Maybe ever.
That's it, kids. They only made 6 movies.
Let them watch what they want to watch. If they just get bored after the first 3 you show them, like, you can just be like, all right, I'm going to watch them. I don't need you. Bye, kids.
Yeah, well, that's the real question, right? That's why we're worried about the order, is we want to grab them and make sure that they want to watch it. I think they'll watch anything we want to watch, to be fair.
Yeah.
But
they're too polite to tell you, Dad, your movie sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, fair.
One thought I did have was when looking at machete order, I was like, well, you don't have to get rid of 1. You could just put 1 at the very beginning. You have this little kid introduction to the Star Wars universe. Then you have a whiplash of doing straight to Rogue One.
Ooh. That's a hard turn.
Yeah.
They're not going to like that, man. I don't think that's going to work.
I don't think that's going to work either.
Also, Rogue One is a movie that has grown in my estimation, but only because I really like Andor. And you ain't showing those kids Andor, right? Like, that's not appropriate.
Yeah, probably not.
No.
It's a bit
Even
too
though,
much.
I think Andor is like the best piece of Star Wars thing maybe ever, but like certainly the best TV Star Wars thing. But they're not of an appropriate age for that, I wouldn't say.
I wonder even a little bit about Rogue One being appropriate. It's about an assassination mission.
Yeah, there's some,
and the ending's a little hard. Right?
It's not good.
It's not a neat story that ties off like.
Not great.
It does lead directly into 4.
Yeah,
That's
but like,
true.
What if you started with 4 and showed them the best one first? Like,
yeah, it's true. I think this pod leans then more towards release order than even machete order, right?
I think that's where I would come down in my preference. There are things to commend the other 2, and I don't think you would have a bad time either way doing, again, like you said, your kids will probably watch it regardless. I don't think there's any way you can avoid getting a bunch of questions.
Do you think that trying to preserve the secret is at all a noble cause in these days? Or do just all kids already know?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think they already know? They might.
Just osmosis from culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't know how much they know. I guess you can ask them.
You could ask them like, what can you tell me that you know about Darth Vader, right?
Or,
Mm.
what do you know about Star Wars?
If they know, they'll tell you, right? Because
Oh,
that's a
does
big
that
thing.
change it? So if they know, does that change our order idea, or are we talking too much about the physical nature of the filmmaking and the storytelling and the dynamics between all these films that, okay, they know the secret, it doesn't change anything?
I feel like at that point, it probably matters less, right? Because that's one of the central tenets
It's,
of Machete Order, at least,
it is
is
one of the
preserving
central
that.
tenets, yeah. The
Yeah,
other one being maintaining it as Luke's story.
right.
Yeah, I think if they tell you that they already know the major twist in 5, then you probably have no reason to even consider Machete Order.
Right. So then it becomes back to timeline order. So you see Obi-Wan Kenobi and all these people when they were young first, or not.
Right.
Yeah, and I think again, my personal predilections would just be go in release order because that's how the films were concepted,
Right.
And if there's playback or thought about, new things or whatever, the new stuff has to be introduced in the newer thing. They can't expect you to know about it in the older thing. And it'll make the movies more intelligible that way. And you just be like, oh, this takes place before. And they'll be like, all right, whatever. Or they'll read the opening credits and it'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Right. All right. Whew. We're left with a difficult decision. If people, well, they can talk about it at the end. We got to tell them what the homework is for next time. Did everybody bring their pencil and paper?
Oh, I wanted to talk real quick about the 4K versions.
Okay.
Before we get to the end. Yeah. So I did make a mention that 4K 77 I felt like wasn't the one you could show.
Sure.
As as the version of episode 4. And I guess the reason I talked about that, but I've seen 4K 77 and I talked about how it's a little uneven, and they talk about that, right? Like, we just don't have a continuous film stock of this whole movie. We had to piece it together. So like some scenes are brighter, some are darker, some, have better or lower quality, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Right.
4K 80 and 4K 83, Empire and Jedi don't have that problem. They have much more consistent film versions for those, in which case then they're all, of a similar level of quality, and effectively the theatrical versions of those movies without the special edition enhancements.
Well, here's the problem with that. You're going to have a lot of the special edition enhancements when you watch the new one, and then you switch over to no special edition enhancements.
Yeah, so that's more of a, like, I don't think you would show a person these as the place to start. But maybe if they really like Star Wars or express a lot of interest in it, you could be like, hey, do you want to see how they changed this movie? Here's a different thing,
Right. Yeah. I think
certainly you
yeah.
or, or your wife would be interested in seeing these, but I don't know that your kids would be.
I mean, they might be the only version I really want to watch, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to explain to them that Han. Think about this. I'm gonna have to explain to them that Han shot first.
Right. And that's like the really bummer thing is that, like, Han just shoots him, like, that's what you should see.
Yeah. Yeah, it really changes the character of Han Solo to have him be like, "Oh, I dodged it," and that's so dumb.
Nope.
That's so
Bye.
lame. So lame. I appreciate the knowledge of that, and mostly for myself.
Yeah, it's specifically the 77 one that's rough. And I think, 80 and 83, I haven't watched them all the way through. I just kind of scanned through, but they talk about it on their, their project website.
Yeah.
They're much more even across the board and therefore make a lot more sense to show other people as a version of that movie. But, like I said, I don't, then you're going to have to explain, well, this one, why did the special effects look good here and they look like crap here? Well, the 80s, kids, like, that's not going to.
Well, and also like the new special effects from the early 2000s didn't hold up either. So
yeah, that's part of the reason I think going in release order makes some sense. You sort of see the progression of special effects to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
The Luke still looks like he's fresh out of the 70s. They couldn't hide that,
Yeah. All right, it's homework time. JJ.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you out to do a reconnaissance mission this week
Oh,
as
okay.
the first homework getter. Are you ready?
Okay.
We have Invincible to talk about next week, so we probably don't have time to talk about Gundam movie 3.
Probably not.
But we probably could listen to a recap of what your thoughts are on Endless Legend.
Okay.
It's in your Steam library.
Okay. Writing
It's
it
a
down.
4X. And I want to know, because I've been itching to play Civ again, whether I'm playing Civ 5, Civ 6, Civ 7, or Endless Legend, because I believe it is also in my Steam library.
Okay. I know Civ 7 just pushed a huge update very recently. I have not gone back and checked it out.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll take a look at some Endless Legend.
I think no minimum amount of time. If you
I'll
boot it
do
up
what
and
I
you're
can.
like, this game sucks, then just stop.
Yeah.
I'll do what I can.
Time is precious.
All right. So there you go. And here's the recap for next episode if people are paying attention. Invincible. Changes at Xbox. And JJ's Endless Legend homework, at least. Those 3 things.
Did I talk about the end of Mina the Hollower?
Ooh, sounds like it's on the list for next week.
Sounds like it's on the list for next week.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Until next time, where can people
list.
send their thoughts about what order to put my kids through the
tell us
Star Wars ringer?
what order insights that we missed by sending that to podcast@weweregamers.com. You can also find us on Facebook or Blue Sky at We Were Gamers, and you should go check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@weweregamers.
Now, Andy, see, here's why it's important you include the TV series, because Rebels, you see, takes place like 20 years, but then ends up running alongside episode.
Too deep. We've gone too deep.
Also incorrect. Also,
yeah. Look, I don't know jack about those cartoons. I didn't watch any of them.
I would say actually, it's funny you picked Rebels.
Rebels would be Clone Wars, the one that does, right? That's the one that runs alongside
Clone
the
Wars
movies.
runs alongside the movies and is wild and way too long and is full of crappy filler. It's a good show. Don't get me wrong. So don't at me about what the good parts of it are, because I have watched all of it twice. I know the good ones, and they're very good. It also, I shouted that knowledge out when I told JJ that Rod of the Hutt was from that show.
Yeah. You told me I should watch Clone Wars.
I think you might get something out of it. At least watch the Gendy one. Tartakovsky did a Clone Wars that is hard to find currently. But Rebels is a funny one to pick because it is one of those Rogue One like pieces of the linear Star Wars history of like Ezra's kind of a big deal if you watched Ahsoka,
Mm-hmm.
It's and the Rebel logo comes out of that show. All that kind of stuff. So,
and now you say it watched Ahsoka, but you don't mean Ahsoka the TV show, so
I do mean that.
Oh, okay.